Welcome to Tech Tips. I'm your host, Dave Moss. The show is brought to you by sportbikewrench.com. Performance parts and professional advice. Our venerable Project Jigsaw is back, yay! And we're using it today to show how to properly use our pitbull rear stand with the swivels. Now in this case, you can see we have no spools attached to our swing arm, so we're going to start with the rubber bumper on the high side of the swivel. So, first order of business, they're still loose, so what you want to do is get behind your bike while it's on the kickstand and locate the stand where you want it to be. You shouldn't have your red high spot here or your guide smash flat against the swing arm. So when you hold it up against it, if you need to move it out a little bit, make sure you do that on both sides so that the position of the swivels is even on both ends of the stand. Put it back up again. That looks pretty good. We've got daylight between the guide and the swing arm, so I'm quite happy with that. So your next job, now that you're sized up and you're comfortable with it, hold it in place, go ahead, snug it up, and we're ready to go. Now, if you only have one bike, obviously you can snug that up and never touch it again. But if you go from bike to bike to bike, try something simple like putting a black line in the center of the bolt for each bike if they go into different spots. That way you can automatically adjust each time you go back to the different bike. That's something I've tried and works really well and saves a lot of time. Now, we're ready to use our stand. So, picking the back of the bike up, balance the bike, leave the kickstand down. So if it falls on the kickstand itself, so no harm, no foul there. Once you got the bike balanced, go ahead, pick your rear stand up, put it against the swing arm. Now, I can hold the bike quite easily by just tensioning our rear stand. I want to make sure we're in the right spot. Now, as we have swing arm spools that have nothing there, I'm going to use that as a natural bump stop for the rubber component. Now the bike is balanced, so the same thing applies. You're going to get your body in position, you're going to push down on the handle itself, slowly put it to the ground. Again, the handle is engineered so that you won't hit your knuckles, and then let it go. Now, a key point here that's really important. We have somewhat of a flat spot on our Project Jigsaw 750 swing arm. We also have a bump stop which will stop the rubber mount going further forward. Look at your swing arm before you start the operation. Sometimes you'll have some compromises, and this is a classic example. Because we want to use the bump stop of the spool, we can't get our axle out. That's one thing you're going to have to deal with. So if you know you're going to do a job, simply removing your nut off the axle will then allow on this side the axle to come through. So look at your application. The other point is that if there was no spool housing here, then there's no bump stop. So you want to be very careful where you put this. Because if your swing arm slopes up very slowly, you want to put it on the back of the bike. Otherwise, the bike may have a willingness or a tendency to roll at you and come off the stand. So bear in mind what you have. Find the flattest spot you can on the swing arm, that may be the back, and then go ahead and put the bike up in the air. Please note that in this situation, using this stand, it is impossible and should not be tried to change your rear shock. You need a completely different stand for that, and we have those, and we'll show those to you in another video. This time we're going to put the pitbull stand in front of our spool holders. I have to do this visually and make sure we're in exactly the correct location. So I feel secure, go ahead, set that down carefully. Okay, now we have clear access to our rear wheel, so we can go ahead, remove the wheel at will. We can then change gearing, we can change sprockets, we can change chains. Obviously right now, and in the other situation where it was behind the spool location, we could use tire warmers. So there's plenty of things with this stand that you can do. It just depends where you place it as to how much you can do. So in this instance, we can do literally anything we want to do with this. Brake service, brake pads, the whole 9 yards. Now that that's done, taking the bike off the stand. First thing, make sure physically that your kickstand is all the way out. Hold the bike again, make sure you have it firmly. Keep hold of the stand because you still have full control of the motorcycle. You're now going to tip the bike over to the kickstand side before you release the stand. So hold it, put some pressure on it, and the stand will turn a little bit. And then remove the stand and let it fall onto the kickstand. That's how you can go and use the Pitbull rear stand and the swivels based on the rubber mount application for a swing arm with a Gixxer 750.